Hello, everybody, and welcome for your first time back to a very special episode of Dotp's Tryhard Tuesdays, but it's actually a Fryhard Fridays. So we're gonna Friday our hardest here at Dotp, or fry some eggs or whatever. We'll make the pun work as we go along. But as for now, nothing else has changed. It's me, your host, the Grand Wazoo, and sitting here with me is none other than Flubb. How's it going, Flubb?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Feels better on a Friday. I feel sexier. I feel more in control. I feel like I feel like part of the nightlife, man. How does it feel to be on Friday, even though we're technically recording on a Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, I like being on Friday though, because we're gonna be helping out people getting off work from the weekend. They're gonna kick back, and on their way back home from work, they're gonna be listening to this, to get themselves revved up for that Dota weekend,
Yeah, so I'll give you this noise to get your weekend almost started. Like that's all I got for now. Because
pretty good.
We're both pretty drained. I mean, I'm drained. I don't want to speak entirely for you, Flubb, but how are you feeling?
No. I'm fighting the sickness still. It feels like we talked about it before, that all of us that went to TI, every one of us is slowly getting sick as time moves on. Just whether it was the plane rides or just all living together at the same time, we're all sick, and we're all still getting over one of the best weeks of our life.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We couldn't record the show on Monday because I pussed. I was just I'm way too sick. The second we got back, I felt super sick and slept for 16 hours. And I feel like maybe I was getting sick while we were there because I was feeling super down, kind of just low energy and stuff. But I thought that was just traveling. But so everyone here first, Flubb is the better man for showing up for work on time, because we rescheduled and we're well, we could just do it on Friday because all the other shows kind of shifted around except for the Thursday show. So we're happy to be here with you now, guys, to give you kind of our recap of TI and what went on, because we both had some pretty unique experiences. We watched many a game in Seattle, and we even did a live show while we were there. So me and Flubb, that is, we had a great time, doing that live show. And I hope if you haven't heard it, you do go back and listen to it, because a lot of work went into it and a lot of money went into it, and a lot of people came out. So I hope you guys give it a listen. As for other news, Dota's Battle Cup is going through the end of the month, right, Flubb?
Oh yeah.
And then they're just are they taking the compendium away then, or?
I think it's pretty much on Sunday they're going to take it away. It's either Sunday or Monday, I believe.
That is going to feel like an empty Dota, man.
Yeah, right? You've had all these options to do things, whether it was quests or, the Battle Cup every weekend, or, just playing recalibrating for your matches. It's gonna be kind of boring, actually, I think, when it goes back. But hopefully the patch will probably come out a little bit after that, so it'll probably be super exciting right after that.
I wonder if their plan here is to just kind of keep a battle pass always in rotation, because now they can work out the fall battle pass, right? Because we're in fall, and from there, you go until the winter when you cut it out, and then right after that you have the spring major, whatever. You always have something up in rotation. You're always taking that money. But I don't know. It remains to be seen. I feel like the battle pass and the battle cup and the battle pass have been just huge successes. So it's going to be interesting to see what the game's like without them now, because it feels like it's such an integral part of the experience in that weird way. The whole gambling points aspect, the whole challenge aspect, all that stuff. So I don't know. It remains to be seen. But how's your Dota been going since we got back into town, Flubb?
Well, good and bad. Bad for solo and stuff. Man, I am just I don't know what it is, but it's just slowly going down. Maybe I'm just rusty after not playing pretty much for a week, but oh man, it's been super frustrating with that. But at least my team's doing well. So far, we haven't lost a match this week, knock on wood. But And we've been doing some really fun drafts. I actually tweeted out about a sniper draft that I did, and it's pretty killer, man. It kicks some ass. So I'm excited about that at least. I wish my MMR would not be slowly declining, but we all have that every now and again.
Oh, and I have it all the time, so it's not just every now and again. I feel like I've gone down so much, and I don't know. It's like the myth of Sisyphus with me. It's like the guy that was doomed in Greek mythology to push a boulder up a hill, and it would just roll back, and he'd just do it. I'd be like, gain 25, lose 25, gain 25, lose 25, for like the past, I don't know, since I've been back. So it feels like an exercise in futility, but that's okay. I love playing the game just for the game's sake, and we saw the most incredible Dota I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah,
this was like the closest tournament I've ever seen, and so to be there in person was incredible.
Yeah, some of the games, like I don't want to spoil it if there's people who still haven't seen, but like there's certain games on that list. One of the teams to say is EG. Like there's a few of their games that were like really awesome. There was an Alliance game that was really good. So like, actually one of those games, it was the best game I've ever seen in Dota, like hands down. And I've been watching for like, oh geez, I mean, like ever since TI1, but I've also been watching from like original Dota when I could, on people's streams and stuff. So like this tournament is like showing where Dota is going and how big the change is going to be, and how great these patches are going to keep. They're going to keep pushing the envelope of like making the game better and better.
And just they're popping up off the top of the game's restraints, right? Like you're seeing just no holds barred. These players, like there's no skill cap. They just keep getting better, you know? Like the fear I saw in some of those EG versus DC games is a fear that like given a draft in a situation could not, like I'm talking about his Fen game, like that guy could not lose. Like just looking how clean his play was, like that's refined over like years and years and years and years. Like it's like you're just watching masters play at this point, and it's interesting, right? Because there's still so much more to go, but we're still seeing the sport form in terms of these guys just doing incredibly crazy plays. That to be there and feel that electricity, you realize that they're just world class. They're the best.
Oh yeah, and they're all different too. Like you have like certain players that like if you want this style, you're still playing down that style, and it's very similar to how sports run, right? Because like if you're talking about certain players, there's certain players that generally like to like be more aggressive or patient, or it's esports is a sport. There's no way to like push that off to the side anymore now, especially looking at Dota and like how it brings to the forefront of like all these amazing plays and all these amazing like teamwork abilities that people do at the drop of a hat. Like it's like in football or basketball or anything like that, like yeah, they're still making it in a split second, but they're not doing it as much stuff in a split second, I feel like, as like a team fight in Dota. Though they have to have like physical prowess, there's other things like that, that go along with it. I feel like this is like one of the most exciting times for Dota.
But I always hear that physical argument, and I used to be like, yeah, I mean that's way harder to train your body. And like the Olympics were going on in tandem as the international, so I kind of got this interesting juxtaposition of our event and like watching the Olympics and stuff when I'd go and like get a drink or get something to eat. And it's interesting like how far ahead in some ways esports actually is in terms of viewing experience for the audience, you know what I mean? And also like I think one of the things that's incredible about esports is there has to be an investment there. Like you would never know if you didn't know the game that someone was doing something incredible. But when you do know the game a bit, you can finally realize it. However, if someone can swim very, very fast, they can swim very, very fast. You know what I mean? And so, like, that's just something I thought about. Like, it's incredible in different ways. I feel like in esports, it's like just the nerves itself and keeping your mind focused on that goal in front of that audience and with so much at stake it's incredible. It's it's quite an achievement in itself, and that takes lots of practice in itself just to get your mind capable of doing that. So like, let alone all the other mechanical and reflexive and any other type of strategical ability you might have in the game. So that's just interesting things I was thinking during the time. What game, and I guess I'll say like towards the last couple days, were your favorites?
Oh man, it wasn't even the last couple days, man. My favorite, hands down, was if you guys don't want to listen to spoilers, then shut it off now. But like, eHome EG, oh my god, that game, like, it was, to hear it from like the perspective of you at home and like re-listening to it and hearing the crowd erupt, I guarantee you it was like 5 times, or if not 10 times as loud in person. Everybody in the stadium was like jumping up to their feet, like screaming at like the top of their lungs, just like cheering for their team, and it was an insane ending that, like, I if there's a history book, it's gonna go down as like one of the best esports things that has ever happened.
It was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And what's hilarious, what I found so funny about it is, like, I was there for I was there in the first few days as much because we were like recording, and I was like kind of jet lagging myself and stuff. But like, I was there for all the games at the end series, and I still didn't feel the same intensity at any of the games at the end as I did at eHome EG. They were close, but holy crap, that game was heads and tails way above anything that happened in that tournament, in my opinion.
It's interesting because this tournament gave so many different viewer experiences depending on what you're looking for. Like, I really wanted like an NA team in the finals, and then I got to see 2 of my favorite NA teams battle it out, And so like, I was more fixated on that coming up. Like, I loved that eHome EG game, and I definitely watched them come up. But at the same time, like, after seeing DC's strong run, I was all a DC fanboy after that point forward. But those games are a really good example of something incredible happening. That to be there in that moment, I mean, it's just like anything else. Like, you wonder why people talk about like watching Babe Ruth hit a home run and with stars in their eyes or something. Like, to be there and see that moment. I think I know what moment you're talking about in the EG home game. Is that their comeback? EG's comeback?
Yeah. Like, there's
I don't want to spoil it either, because if you're going to go watch it, like, you should definitely go watch that. But if you haven't watched it, like, it was incredible. It's almost like I don't want to desecrate the moment with words, but it's like anything. Like, you watch something happen that's incredible for the first time, accomplished by another human being, and that moment's kind of like you said, it was a great week of our lives because of that. Oh, yeah. They were like artists up there. I don't know. It's incredible. The event brought people from all over the world. I mean, I've never been to an event that was so multicultural. And that's incredible. Yeah. I mean, there's Chinese fans. There was just people from all over the world come to enjoy Dota. There were a lot of Chinese fans. And one thing that I thought was interesting, I was sitting down in the press section at one point with Gorgon, and we're just talking, and I hear someone do that noise. What is it? Or something.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck? And turn around. And there's this guy like crouched, and he like has his hoodie up, and every time like the Chinese team would do something awesome, he would just like, there's just like the weirdest little like memes and stuff going on that, like, I don't know, it's like a perfect representation of Dota 2, it was just incredible. So go ahead.
I particularly like the whole like DC chant, the moo. I thought that was really clever. Like, I know it sounded like boo, and it kind of like, it didn't really work out as well as everyone wanted. And I don't like to focus on one person on the team with chanting. Like, but when he did like a good play and everyone in the stadium did like moo, oh man, that for some reason that really got me going. I really like that.
Yeah, the event was chock full with moments like that, and you could feel different energy for different teams. Everyone represented, you know what I mean? You saw fan favorites from all over the world, Navi, Alliance, Secret, etc., that didn't do too well, but still showed up and did the fan service. Dendy, that guy's energy is incredible. I mean, like, the guy gets knocked out of a tournament, walks around, like, signing autographs, grinning ear to ear. You know, that guy's where he wants to be. All the players, all the personalities, it was just a very well-organized event, very well-done event, and I hope to see it grow more. And you said something earlier, Flubb, that I thought was pretty poignant, and you said they can't ignore that esports as a sport, not anymore. And I think with legitimization, like these events, you can't ignore that legitimacy when there's so much money in the event. And you get sponsors turning their heads and they say, whoa, something's going up out of Washington like this. What else can we put in? How can we make money doing that? And so I see a lot changing due to events like that. Valve's obviously adapting their strategy with their roster lock changes. They're now allowing like a draft lock / you can draft when everyone's locked into their teams, right?
Yeah.
Did you read about that? So it won't automatically drop you from the team. You have to leave the team or be kicked by the team admin. Right. And after everyone's locked in, there comes an open phase where you can pick from players who haven't gone onto a team.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of their way to combat the old problems of the roster lock. What do you think of that?
I think that's good. I think that, like, I mean, when you watched, like, years before, the switching was insane. And, I mean, even before this year, I mean, that's kind of how, like, DC formed, right? To kind of begin with, like, a few months, like 6 months before, was it? But, like, I feel like that the ideas that they had for roster locking is actually not going far enough. I kind of like the idea of making it harder for people to just, like, switch teams constantly. Like, I feel like sometimes it's a little insane that people can just, like, switch back and forth with great ease after a tournament. And as long as they have something in place and they're trying to forward the idea of, like, okay, don't just, like, hey, don't have someone just, like, be the Yankees, you know, and just, like, pay a bunch of people and then roster switch immediately. That stuff still happens, but it's going to be less likely with this new setup.
I feel like this tournament was kind of a, if you stick together, you'll do better than a team who separates and comes back together. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You got to see. I read one quote that I really liked about Misery, and I think it was on the score or something like that, and that might be incorrect. So if it is, like, correct me. But someone said that when Misery takes racks from teams, he is very, very happy, of course. But when he takes racks from Team Secret, he's so happy he's pounding on the table. And, like, that's just indicative to me, because these guys had, like you said, 6 months they've had, right? Which is about a little more than the time EG had, which is less than the time Wings had. And so if you just look at these teams that stuck together, these teams boot camped as well, I think. At least I know DC did. I talked to Misery a little bit about it. They boot camped before TI at the Summit House. So they would avoid those problems like jet lag. I think Wings was involved as well, and maybe even EG. But I didn't hear about that before, so I was like, wow, that's interesting. You're not really taking any risks. But we can kind of move on here. I don't know what else really to say, except the games themselves were fantastic. Go and watch them all. Like, I'm sure I'll be watching some that I missed because I didn't catch every single one, of course. But it's the best tournament I've ever seen in my life. I wish I could have, like, just been, like, hooked to a computer screen the entire time, like, there watching it and just watching it up on that Megatron or something. But, like, it was difficult getting everybody around, which brings me to the second half of our TI discussion, and that's, like, all the juicy details of all of these 11 Dota nerds who decided to have an MTV-like real-life experience, cue 90s music, in an awesome Seattle beach house. And drama ensued. At one point, Proud climbed up on me and went, meow. I mean, literally climbed up and wrapped his legs around me and made me be his alchemist. And that's the kind of thing that happens, I guess, when you bring uncouth fellows into your house. But it was very interesting. We got to meet everybody, and Flubb, it's a lot easier actually to podcast with you since I've seen you, because I can imagine your I can imagine your body. I can imagine your like face and demeanor when you're talking. I can imagine your body language. You used to be a disembodied Flubb, dude, but now I have a body of mind. You know what I mean? So that's good. It helps me a lot more.
Yes, same with me. Like you hear our voices. Like I don't know about you, but I like imagine people when I hear their voices the first time, and like they never look like what I expect they do. But it's so much better because they're not. If they were just an amorphous blob, it'd be harder to like make them a person, I guess, in my mind. It's like, I don't know, it's weird when you're talking with people, and that's one of the good things about this experience, right? Like I've been playing with people for like 5 years or like 6 years that I got to meet on this trip, and it's like, man, that's what you look like. Oh, okay, cool. Like
for some of us it makes sense, for some people they don't look the same. I don't know. I'd seen pictures of some people. They don't look the same as I think their voices would sound. But it surprisingly wasn't awkward for any of us. I mean, like, and there were surprisingly little video games. So like all of us nerds got together and just had a really good time. Watched all the event that we could. It was a great time. And to everyone who made that possible, thank you with all my heart, because that was just an incredible time. Life altering in terms of like how I view esports and the legitimacy to come. And I don't know, it sounds weird still saying that, because people are like, I don't know, there's this weird middle ground, but we're gonna get there. You know what I mean? It's gonna be the point where we don't want to be on TV or anything, but we'll be able to be our own thing, and that's what's happening already. So Flubb, what was your experience like at the house? Like you flew for the first time many hours. Well, it was like, how long was your flight?
I think in total, like, while I was, like, flying, it was, like, 9 hours, I believe, because, like, I also had layovers and stuff, too, so, like, when it all calculated up, like, from the time I left the Indianapolis airport, it was, like, a 14 or 15-hour trip, because I, like, had to, like, wait for, like, 3 or 4 hours here, and then, like, wait for certain things to happen in like different places. So like in general, though, I was like up in the air for like 9.
Wow. And did you like the flight? Like what's your takeaway on flying?
Oh, dude, like I don't mind flying. It's like I was worried, you know, like you go for your first time, you're like, okay, I might like miss my flight. I got to pay attention. I wasn't like ever worried about that once I actually started doing it, but like, man, those seats, if you are not like, if you're 5'7" or lower, you're fine. But I'm 6'1", and like I don't even think I'm that tall, but some people say I am tall, because I'm like kind of short around where I live.
You are? Yeah. Like, among our group, you were pretty tall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 6'1" too, so.
Yeah, I didn't think that I was that tall, but apparently I am, you know, compared to the rest of the world. But
a giant, dude. You just come out of wherever you live, and it's like you're the giant.
Yeah.
No, Ursi and Proud and those guys, they're smaller men, you know, and like not in character, I assure you, but in stature at times. Yes, Greg, unless he are Proud, unless he climbs up on you, but it was overall a really good time.
Yeah.
So your flight home was luckily not one that was too bad. It was just kind of the same thing again.
Yeah, like it was just you know, just being really cramped, and kids. I had kids on my way there and on my way back, which like I don't mind kids, but like if they're
who's the lucky lady that you had these kids with?
I was just random kids behind me, you know, just like freaking kicking my seat and stuff. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be a sleepless trip. So like on the way there and on the way back, I did not sleep at all. So
you should have just ordered. You should have ordered a glass of liquor and splashed it in one of their faces. Been like, stop it.
Come on, just take this drink. It's cool. It's all right. All right.
Cool. No, it's not. That's a joke, guys. Anyone? It's a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people had absolutely disastrous flights happen to them. Like, and I would not wish this on my worst enemy after seeing what Grouty dealt with. Delayed for like a day, and just
Thirsty kind of had a bad problem too.
yeah, I was reading that on the way home. It's like crazy person might be shooting up JFK or wherever he was landing, and I was like, holy crap! Like,
yeah.
he better not be drinking too much because he'd get confrontational and be like, "I'm walking here," and the guy's like, "That's what I said." I said when he drinks, he doesn't get drunk. He gets more New Yorker as it goes on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like if you guys ever think that like Ursi has an ego, and he definitely does, but like his ego is multiplied by like 5,000 whenever he starts to drink. It is both like it's really funny, but man, he gets into situations where he tries to 1v1 roll in mid when he's not in the right mind to do that, and he loses, and now he like has something he regrets forever. But he's like so confident at every moment. It is drunk Ursi is best Ursi. I love drunk Ursi.
Yeah, he goes from like an upstate New York teacher, is like, "Hello, my name is Mr. Ursinity. I've taught in this school for 40 years," to like what the fuck, fuck you, I'm walking, like slamming on your like the hood of your car because like you stop at a crosswalk. But both ways are good. We definitely got to know everyone pretty well. It was a great time. It was a great way to boot camp with people, kind of understand how they work. They also did a show in the house. Go back and listen to that. They did that at the beach house. And that was like a lot of it. A lot of the experience, it feels like. We got to record our shows. We got to meet everybody. Everyone there, it was incredible. People we've been working with for a very long time. So it's great to have that happen. It's kind of dreams come true in a lot of different ways. So, Flub, before you left, you went to the Wizard pub crawl, right?
Right.
What was that like?
That was a lot of fun, man. I'm not the most social person, so like generally I'm that guy that's pretty quiet until you talk to me, or someone like starts a conversation with me, and then I can participate in the conversation. So like I need a wingman, like just for like talking to people normally. And my buddy Toffee's Coffee with the guy that people would probably know him from Coffee with Toffees.
And Around the Pit is one of his big projects.
Around the Pit. Oh yeah. He actually, the first time I got to see him, and like I've hung out with him for 5 years, so that was an experience. But like he wingmaned me through that entire time and was like, "Hey, so Durka, this is Flub," and like I was like, I was just like shaking hands with people like Nahaz, Capitalists, and like all these like people that I would be fine with like talking to them. I'm not starstruck by them, but I also like don't want to have people like be barotted by like hey, can you help me out with my casting, or help me out with this or that, and
because they're people,
right, and they're drinking and they're wanting to like relax because they have spent like freaking 14 hours, like doing shit that day. So, but it was really cool, They got that experience. I got that experience to like meet and talk to all these famous people. But truthfully, like the best thing about that pub crawl was meeting the fans. Like that was awesome. I actually had people like once they knew who I was and I introduced myself, they really freaked out and were like, "Oh man, you're awesome! You're one of my favorite personalities, or one of my favorite like analysts." And I was like, "Whoa, really? Me? Like I've only been doing this for a month. This is awesome!" And it's so cool to hear that people appreciate your work or appreciate what you're trying to talk to people about. And for me, like that's a bigger deal. Meeting those people was a way bigger deal than meeting another famous person, because they're not going to appreciate whatever you're doing, and the fans really do. And it's really cool to have people walk up to you. So shout out to Shrek 2 on DVD, and I'm sorry I was drunk at the time because it was a pub crawl. I forget the buddy's name. Me and him talked about how to work a team and what he should do with his team, and it was great meeting both you guys. And there's a lot of other people that I can't really remember too well because it was a pub crawl. And forgive me for those fans who did come up to me. But
it's called a crawl for a reason, folks. I mean, you're not walking, you're crawling. I had a similar experience with a fan. I was just, it was actually worse, way worse. But that's just because I called him by the wrong name several times, like, even though he corrected me once. He didn't correct me until later, though, which made it way worse. And I just kept calling him Wilson for some reason. Like Wilson... from not from Castaway, but maybe that's where my mind got it, you know, like the volleyball. And he's like, because I was just like sitting drinking beers, and he's like, hey, where are you from? And I'm like, .p, and I showed him my shirt, and he's like, awesome, I listen to your guys' shows. And I'm like, that's great. And he told me his name. For some reason, I thought he was Wilson. So I saw him multiple times, and every time I'd see him, I'd say, you know, hi, Wilson, and I'd like talk to him, and like I hope he didn't think I was being a dick, because I really just thought your name was Wilson. I had a great time sitting and talking to you. We watched the whole orchestral thing. That was incredibly crazy. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. I mean,
that production value was insane.
That talk about like an opening ceremonies, like Olympics thing. Like that was incredible. Like seeing where this event has gone just in terms of opening ceremonies is incredible, you know, and like middle ceremonies and like final ceremonies or whatever they call them, because they were creating like redoing all the Dota music, and it just sounded fantastic, and the spectacle was there, you know what I mean? It was on. So that's something I'd like to give him props for. And Wilson, sorry, buddy. You'll always be Wilson to me. But moving on, the pub crawl, like, so you got to meet some fans, you got to crawl around, have some drinks, overall a good time, it sounds like. What are some other high points of your trip?
Well, meeting just the .b's people, just like .peeps in general. Like I didn't really get to talk to very many people before, like, even as like a show host before the event even happened. So like Hada, and Nameless, and Jekyll, like I got to meet all them, and like Gushi, like, man, Gushi is like so humble, and man, that guy's pretty cool guy to hang out with. And like it was really good to just meet all these people that don't really get a chance to hang out with me because I'm usually busy with the team or busy with this. And it's great to, you know, like actually like meet these people and talk to them and be like, hey, what's your favorite team? What's, you know, or just how you doing? And like catch up with people who you wouldn't get a chance in normal situations. So that's one of my favorite things. Probably like actually my most favorite thing about the trip. It's silly, but like that house, man, like just waking up and like walking out on that porch and just like looking out into the lake, like even though it didn't have anything to do with Dota, like that was the best way to start the day. Like made me like awake for Dota so I could like appreciate what was around me. That was amazing.
Yeah. My two things that I most enjoyed, I think, are gonna have to be the .peeps. I have to say that, you know, like 100%, because I wouldn't have even gone if it wasn't for those guys, really. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be in the position to go. So I have to thank everybody who came out, said hello, and that I got to hang out with. That is, you know, consequently, also one of my regrets is that I didn't get to see people more because I took a day off, and then my cousin also lives up there, so I had to like spend a couple days with her. Like we had dinner a couple times, and then between everybody, it just felt like I never actually got to sit down and like watch more than just one game before I had to get up and go talk to people or go get a move on, or we had to figure out an Uber because we were trying to get 12 people around, which we could not do in our one car, obviously. And so to figure that out was rough. But my other biggest thing that I think, watching DC take EG in that lower bracket finals was my highlight of my Dota like viewing experience. Like that was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll even put that over my own live show I did there because that was just incredible, man. Like that was a close third, you and me doing a live show, because that's always kind of been kind of been a dream of mine to do in this format. So, I mean, I think we did pretty well. But watching that EG and DC lower bracket finals was just, man, it was incredible. Like, I've never seen something like that.
It's hard to like pinpoint like certain things about the trip that I liked, because like you saying that reminds me of like 5 other things.
It's really hard. But we can't go further into those. I want to hear some regrets too. So tell me 3 regrets of the trip.
3 regrets. Yeah. I wish I would have. I actually didn't get to hang out with my teammates as much as I wanted. Like Proud and Ursi were on like different times as me. Like I hung out. The most people I hung out with were the Dot Peeps, AG, which was awesome to meet in person. He was a great guy. And like Growdy. I hung out with like all the people that I don't get to really hang out with online. But all the people that I see all the time, I didn't really get to see as much. So I regret not getting to talk to those 2. I guess I also regret like the whole like falling asleep the second day. Oh God! So I didn't sleep for like 40 hours, guys, and then I like fell asleep at like 4 in the morning. At 4 in the morning on a Tuesday, and then I got up at like 8 or 8:30. And then we were like all ready to go, and I just like passed out and like slept the whole day.
Yeah, you slept for like a while, but you needed to. So, like I don't know, maybe you would have got sick if you hadn't slept. You never know. There could have been like a nap butterfly effect or of some sort that could have really messed up your whole trip.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows? Who knows? But did you say 3? Yeah, you said 3.
I said 2.
Okay, 2.
But sorry. It's cool. Those are really my only 2 big regrets. So,
I have 3. 1, of course, is not seeing my Dot Peeps more. Like I wish we could have just sat in the stands more, kind of. But between organizing everybody and figuring out Ubers and getting everybody in the car, and your phone dies. Like they had charging stations and stuff, but then you got to go to the charging station and you got to stand around there, figure out what everybody's up to. It just felt like a lot to organize. So next year, like hopefully we can have some more cars and kind of figure out a better alternative to the whole like caravan thing. My second regret is the shawarma, man. The fucking shawarma. There's a shawarma truck out back, and every time I'd get there, I'd be next in line, and I'd be like, 1 shawarma, and they'd be like, sorry, bro, we're out. And it's like, man, I'll get them next time. And I'd come back the next day, boom, sorry, dude, we're out. The sign goes up. And like I'm looking, they're like, you want a falafel, man? It's like, no, I don't want a falafel. I want shawarma, and like everyone's enjoying the shawarma so much, of course. Like as I walk away, but I never got to try that shawarma even to this day. And
dude, there was a great place next to the cafe though that had.
I didn't even try that place.
Oh man!
Like because we had to hurry, so you guys ran in there, and so me and Blackheart ran down the block and got a burger with Cyphus, and then we just went back and recorded. But yeah, I should have tried some Seattle shawarma. It's all over the place, but I never tried any of it. So that's a big regret of mine. And third and final regret. I missed a chunk of the finals because I was walking around with Roland and my cousin. Because my cousin like loves Dota, but she doesn't like get Dota, like competitive Dota. Like that's a huge thing to be watching the competition. And I just think like Roland didn't care at that point, because it was like wings, and they were like winning. But I did care, so I wish I would have stayed and just fully watched all the finals. I watched the last game out on the lawn though, which was nice. So that was a good moment. There's a silver lining to every cloud. But yeah, that's pretty much up through the finals. Me and Roland got to go to the after party and rub elbows with the elites.
That is one thing I regret. I regret having to leave on my plane and missing the after party. That's the biggest regret.
Yeah, man, I really wish you could have been there. That would have been like really good for us, but it's okay. I just kind of walked around and I'd like stand and like look like maybe I might start dancing, and then I'd be like, I don't fucking dance, and then I'd like go and get a drink, and then I'd be like, maybe I'll dance, and I'd go stand around the dance floor and be like, nah, I don't dance, and just turn and leave. Like that's what I am at parties. Like I understand when you say like you're quiet, because I don't know. Like I did get to talk to a number of Dota personalities because I was that's just kind of how I am. I walked up to Matumba, EE, Misery, and Universe, as well as Nahaz, but we just saw him coming in. But I got interesting things from all of them. You know, like Matumba, man, is probably my favorite current Dota 2 player. So I had to walk up and like just tell him that he inspires me in interesting ways. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I've been there in my point, like not to his extent, but to the point in my life where you just feel like you don't have that passion. You know what I mean? And Dota was like his reignited passion. And now look at him. I mean, he's an incredible player, and just I think his attitude is something a lot of people can learn from. But he was really cool, very humble, and wanted to know more about me, oddly, than when I was asking about him, which I thought was very weird, because usually the pros are just like, they're standoffish and they don't really want to like be talking to you longer than they have to, in my experience, you know. But he was opposite and warm. But I walked up to EE and was like, hi dude, good to meet you, like you'll get him next year. And he was just like, okay. And then I was like, if all else fails, you can just like you can just take all your fans' power, you know, and just use that. And he's just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, okay. Like I just stood there, and I don't know, I just always see people on his Twitter like, take my power, EE. And so I just said that, and he was just like, nope. And I was like, okay. And I just didn't say anything. And then Universe, I was just like, dude, you're the most amazing void. And he was like, thanks. And Misery we've had on the show, so I had a little longer conversation with him because he's like, he likes us. And so I just told him thanks for coming on and being an awesome guy, pretty much. And then I made a dumb joke, and he smiled out of pity. I said, you're that StarCraft guy, aren't you? And he was like, haha. And I was like, that's it. But overall, a fantastic experience. There's definitely like a real VIP, like velvet rope status around a lot of the talent and players. And there has to be to a certain extent. But some players that you see are like ready to go out and engage with the community, and others are not. You know what I mean? And like that's what I saw at that after party. Some people are totally like, fuck off and leave me alone. And some people are there because they really want to talk to people like that. And so it's interesting to see that distinction. Video games are kind of I don't know, they're antisocial in ways. I mean, Dota's not necessarily antisocial, but the habit can be considered that way, I suppose, depending on how you play. So who knows? You know, like we got to just remember that they're all people, I guess. And like that's one thing to say that's very interesting is they're all just people. You know what I mean? I never really put any of them on a pedestal, but like it's weird to separate that person that entertains you from the person that you're seeing across the room having a drink. And like the way to act is not to be unhuman to them, you know, it's to be the opposite, warm and interested, I suppose. But that's my experience. I had a great time in Seattle. We drove 13 hours there and 13 hours back. It was a lot to get there. I got sick instantly coming back, and now my fair-weathered fans, not just in fair weather, but stormy weather too, you are all caught up on our journey. And it was an incredible one. It really was. Took a lot to get it together, and I'm glad we did it. So if you're thinking about going next year, let us know. Meet up with us. Love to see you guys. And that'll do it, I think, for the international talk, for the most part. You can get a lot more information on the other shows. I know a couple people have done a show about it. Roland and Blackheart did one for Wednesday. So everyone's got kind of a different viewpoint. So check those out.
Oh, yeah. Did I ever tell you that I met the guy who like writes for Join Dota too?
Malastrix?
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'd never actually met him before.
He's the editor, the English guy, Mally.
Yeah, that guy is like super warm. Like you said, that
I love him.
Misery was warm. That guy is freaking awesome. Like he was like me being like so new to this whole scene and like don't really understand about like different things that are going on in the background, and like I'm ready to learn, you know, but I don't really know anything. And it shows like not only through his writing, it shows like just meeting the guy, like he is there to help you experience Dota, and like he's there to like help people get the most interesting stuff out of Dota that you can and learn about the game in general.
He got appendicitis last year at the International. Flew from Britain, got here, instantly got appendicitis, and he tells the story like this. He said, my mother told me to get traveler's insurance right when I got over, and so I did, and I go into the hospital, I call and I say, Mom, I got appendicitis, and she said, that's why you listen to your mother? That's what he told me. And I was like, well, that's a pretty good story. I think that pretty much easily sums up like why you should listen to your mom. But yeah, he's been a friend of ours for a long time. We've had him on a few times. He's highly talented. Looking for another job in esports too. I mean, he was talking to me about a few opportunities he has, which was really cool. Yeah, I was sitting down with him and Gorgon when the Chinese fans like were doing their woo or whatever. I can't even replicate the noise. Like, I don't know if anyone will ever be able to, but yeah, that it's cool because you don't just get experience with the players. It's not just players and like casters at an event like that. You have people who make a living writing. You have people who make content. You have cosplayers. You have people who make content like Fwashi does. You have people like us who make podcasts. You know, you have just this entire ecosystem of people who maybe aren't very good at the game like me, some of them, but they put their heart and soul into making content for other people maybe that are better than them or at the same level or even worse. You know what I mean? It's just like it stops becoming about competition. It's more about this like family spirit that bounds around the game. So that was definitely like revitalized how much I cared for like the average Dota player. And like every time I go there, it's like easy to forget that like the average Dota player is just a person, you know, like when they do something wrong or whatever, or someone feeds, it's like it's hard to remember that they're just people. And like something like this does show you that like you might have altercations or you like might bump into someone and they're a dick to you, but at the end of the day, like we're all people and we all enjoy this thing, and to be there and have no problems go down and everyone have a good time from all over the world, that's an event I want to be a part of. So I mean, we've done a whole show on the International. We had a plan to do 25 minutes and just kind of have a lighter topic, but it doesn't look like that's going to be possible. We will save it for you on Tuesday. So, do you have anything else to add, Flub, before we move on? I've been talking a lot.
Nah, I think we're good. I think what one thing to add on to the last thing that you said was that not only is there people like there's just people, and people are like there's many different types. It's just like it's also ever changing. Like, you know, managers and like coaches and stuff like that, like they're starting to get more popular as time goes on, but there are like other positions now that are opening up, and it's so cool to like go there and like meet people who are getting in the ground floor of that part of Dota too. I don't know. It's crazy to think that it's becoming something so massive and expansive that it's not just like you said, casters and players.
You look at people, for instance, look at Moo. I mean, last year he wasn't in any tournament. No one knew who he was. He shows up, and now look at him, you know, second place at the International. You look at someone like Mott, a caster who, you know, we have really warm feelings for and really enjoy. He goes from not casting the event to, boom, he's casting grand finals with LD. It's like this game creates opportunities, and if you can grasp those opportunities, then, I mean, the sky's really the limit. It just depends on how you apply yourself. And if you want to go to an event like this, like I know I did say there's kind of a velvet rope thing with players and casters, and that's not every player or every caster. I mean, you'll see some people just walking around talking to people, but some people are not that way. And so it's just interesting, you know, like you kind of spot if it's okay to approach someone or not. And you know, in what I do, it's very interesting, and our relations rely on that deafness, because if I say, hey, I'm from .p, and I make a dumb joke and they're just like, you're an idiot, like that's going to be how they associate .p. But I hope EE doesn't associate that with me. You know, he'd be right to, but don't associate the organization with me, please. But yeah, that's, I think, all I have to say, really. I just think it's incredible to see some of the stories of triumph and hard work that just kind of all built up to this one moment. Like this one event. And Slacks is another good example. Last year, walking around like us, just kind of trying to get interviews, in this series officially doing that. I mean, if you put in the work, guys, you can get there. I'm telling you. You can be a pro, you can be the next Capitalist or LD or Mott. Like, don't be like me and waste your life away. No, this is going to turn into a dad lecture. Don't have kids too young. I hate you. You're my kid, but you can do anything, you idiot. No, but we do have an item of the day prepared for you guys. Flub, why don't you take us into that?
All right, guys. So what we were talking about for today is we're going to talk about Lotus Orb. So Lotus Orb, in general, what it does is, we'll talk about the components first. So we got the Mana Orb. We then got the, the Plate Mail. and then the perseverance, and it's no recipe, no nothing. It just all those items combined together, and it's a targetable. What it does, it's targetable, and it will purge off any debuff that's on you, except for some that are unpurgeable, like Doom, things like that. And it will also reflect any projectiles in like, what is it, like 5 seconds or 4 seconds? It's a decent chunk of time. I should look that up real quick. Do you have that?
I can pull it up. Mind the clacking, my chillin'. Okay.
But yeah, so the thing is that people don't realize though is it purges all debuffs. Like stuns it purges, and like it's hilarious.
That's
that, like,
interesting.
more people don't buy this, and especially with Mirana out there, and like I see games with Mirana where like no one buys it. And it's like, okay, you can ignore a 5-second arrow just immediately.
So what do you want? What do you want? Stats on it, or
like the stats and how long it actually like has the reflecting ability.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, first of all, for just the stats, it gives you plus 250 mana, plus 6 health regen, plus 125% mana regen, plus 10 attack damage, and plus 10 armor. The active is called Echo Shell, and it lasts for, I believe this is saying, 6 seconds.
6 seconds, my bad. So even longer than I thought. But
that is very good, though. I mean, like, in the sense that if you have someone that cannot get initiated on, it's very good to like have that, right? It's like a Lincoln's that like bounces back, right?
Right. I mean, you're still affected by it, so you still want to like put it on like a tanky target, or you want to use it to remove a problem on like a squishier target that they're like focusing. But that's the thing, is like a lot of people want to try to use it to reflect back things. My point is more, don't use it for that. Use it to like clear yourself of like a venomous gale,
the purge or something, yeah.
Like a Sven stun. Like if you have a support that's sitting off to the side and Sven runs up and like stuns you and he ults, just immediately put the Lotus Orb on top of that guy. He just walks away scot free, and the Sven can't do shit.
Do you build this often on supports? Because it's 4K, right? Which isn't that much for what it gives you, and it is a pretty good support item, right?
I do build it. It's usually like my third item if I build it in a game, but the thing is like a lot of times when I'm playing with my team, and like team fight is so big right now that it just like it doesn't really have a place for with like all the AoE spells. But if you are in a pub, like please pick that up more often, and pick it up on people who are tanky. Like an axe getting that is actually super strong, and I don't see enough axes pick that up. It's like, yeah, it's good to go obviously for your blink and your blade mail, but getting a Lotus after it is super handy, and it like helps other people out, and you can get other things to tank yourself up, but you're not going to be as useful as like being able to just 100% free your carry out of any problem whenever they jump. Like if you free your carry and then jump in and call, that's an incredible turnaround. Whereas you can just jump in and call and hopefully get some procs, but your carry will still be stunned out for the duration of whatever happened.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually did not know it purged until you told me. So, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
I learn something new with you every episode. This actually isn't a podcast. This is just a way for me to get free coaching lessons. This actually, this podcast doesn't go anywhere. We don't release it anywhere. It's all just for me, buddy. No, I'm joking. But that's very interesting. Do you think it's an undervalued item then?
I definitely think it's undervalued. I think that it's also undervalued because you can build into it. Like, let's say you're playing like Sand King or something, and you have your boots, you have your mana boots. Generally, it's not like always accepted to go that anymore, especially with him as an offlaner. But if you are like a support or something and you're going for mana boots and they work after a while, it's like after your next like couple items, you don't really need your mana boost. You have a big enough mana pool. So if you can use that disassemble that orb, it's pretty much the $3,000 item, right? So it's good transitional, and that's when like the stuns matter the most is near the end game. Like, yeah, you can save at the beginning, and it's super helpful. But if someone gets locked out with like a 5-second arrow at like minute 40, like you lost that team fight. You may have lost a Rax.
That's definitely true, and that's a really good point. Yeah, I never saw it much. I saw it on Axe a few times and built maybe a handful of times otherwise by other heroes, but I see it on Axe the most, and even then very slimly. So that was really cool. Good education on the Lotus Orb, and I think I'll even be picking that up sometimes because the Purge, it works in an interesting way. So if someone throws a projectile and you see that projectile coming, you can just slap it on them real fast, and by the time the projectile hits, it'll purge, right? Like that's kind of interesting.
Well, it also like it reflects it back. So if you see like Ogre's thing and he's already casted like the cask at someone, you see it like floating in the air. If you put the Lotus Orb on him, it will, as long as it hasn't hit them yet, it will reflect it back to the Ogre.
Very cool. Okay. I think that's a pretty good education on the Lotus Orb. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap up the show, Flubb?
No, I think I'm good.
Guys, we're going to try something new with the item of the week. We're going to get a poll going probably next Tuesday when we have some time, where that'll hopefully be the last time we do just these item of the weeks that we choose. We want to start having the crowds and the audience pick it. So the crowds, like there's just millions of cheering people for us. But just the audience. If you guys want to be involved more, an item you want to learn about, something you think might be educational, we're going to try to get some polls up of what you guys want to check out. So be looking for that in the next half week or so, because we'll be back on Tuesday. And let's go ahead and close out the show. Flubb, where can people find you, my friend?
All right, people can find me at Flubb Dota for my Twitter handle. If you guys want to try to play some Dota with me, we host. The seasons are coming up here in a little bit, maybe a couple weeks, but on Wednesday nights we'll host in-houses, and I generally play in every single one of those, so I will be around. If not playing, I will maybe this season try to be casting, so maybe I can cast your game and give you some coaching tips through casting if people really want that. So yeah, and we're all great people, so come on down and meet us.
Yep, and you can just keep looking for the in-houses. You can check out information about that on our website, defenseofthepatients.com. I don't have much more to add, so with that being said, guys, I am the Grand Wazoo. You can find me at .p_wazoo. Check out our Twitch at .ptv and our YouTube at .ptv1. Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us for this special Tryhard Friday. Remember, stay classy and stay party.